managed to squeeze through there, and he's, despite the erratic driving, you have to give him a little bit of credit for being able to squeeze through some of these obstacles and some of this traffic with a fair amount of precision. I mean, I don't think he's really hit anybody, at least as far as we've been able to tell, but a lot of close calls, to say the least. Oh, another close call. Yeah, hard-stopping moments here. He's either going to run out of luck or run out of gas. And not knowing how much gas is in the tank there, it's impossible for us to say. But you got to hope he runs out of gas before he really gets somebody hurt here. But at these speeds and this type of driving, which he is continuing, I mean, you can see the maneuvers here right through red lights and still no hesitation to jump into oncoming lanes of traffic, or even some of the alleyways, these narrow alleyways he was taking at these speeds. Just very desperate driving, extremely desperate. Again, indications that he may be under the influence, but now another random turn here into a residential neighborhood here. So he's kind of mixing it up. He's actually ventured into a number of different residential neighborhoods, which is unusual unless he, like I said, unless he kind of is looking to, looking for an escape plan here. Now he's slowing down a little bit, maybe a little bit. Hopefully, I'd love to see him just get out of the car. I'd love to see him just dump the car and let him run for it, walk away, and let him. Here he goes, another erratic turn here off of Thornton onto McMillan Street. Using our SkyMap-7 technology, you can see we're able to map this residential neighborhood with pinpoint precision as he makes his way still in Compton here near Foster Elementary School, and he's now southbound on McMillan Street as he makes his way through this neighborhood here with very little traffic in this residential neighborhood here, but he'll pop up on Rosecrans. If he continues southbound here, he'll come back out on Rosecrans Avenue, and my guess is he'll get back on Rosecrans and continue the same dangerous driving that he's been doing, because I just don't see him establishing any pattern here. Doesn't seem like he really knows where he wants to end this or how he wants to end this. He's just going to take this until he either hurts somebody or runs out of gas completely. Fortunately, though, they've done their best to pull back, turn off the night sun, and let the helicopter do the bulk of the work here by calling out his maneuvers. But it doesn't really seem to have had a major impact on his driving. He's continuing to up the ante here every time he sees obstacles or any kind of traffic ahead of him. There you see he's going right around. This is a red light. He stopped in the crosswalk. This might be the first time he's actually stopped at the crosswalk for that cross traffic there. So he's going to look for an opportunity. He's got the red light, so he's going to just squeeze his way through here, and everybody around him is wondering, what in the world is this guy doing? Especially without any lights or sirens behind him. That's the danger that you mentioned there, David. one thing remains true in the better part of the last 10 minutes. Despite all of these twists and turns and seems to be random maneuvers, he is still in the same neighborhood. We've made lots of turns in the last few minutes, but he remains in the eastern section of Compton, just west of the 710 freeway, which still begs the question, why is he in this area? This is also the same area where it started before he made his way closer to the 110 freeway, eventually making his way back into East Compton in the same exact neighborhood. So what his relationship is with this neighborhood, unknown at this point, but speculation on my part is that he is familiar with this neighborhood, just trying to enjoy his last few minutes of freedom before he's eventually caught up with. Now, there you see an LA County Sheriff's unit, two of them, that have now come up on that intersection. You saw they're going to follow him probably, but they stopped at the intersection. They have their lights and sirens off. But as I mentioned, they've got as many units as possible in this vicinity to try and keep up with him, try and cut him off. They're not going to stop him because of the way he's driving. Again, LA County has very particular pursuit policies, and they're going to be very careful, extra careful, with a driver like this who's potentially armed with two other passengers in that vehicle. They are taking all of that into consideration and gathering their own intelligence on the suspect while this pursuit continues. Again, they basically got it in tracking mode, but they are calling this out overhead and on the ground. Everybody is familiar with where he is. They just don't really have an efficient way of doing anything about it until he slows down and lowers the temperature, if you will. Absolutely, and this neighborhood here happens to be Lynwood Gardens. You can see a little bit less traffic here, but still very residential. Slowing down here, maybe thinking about his next move, but now making his way along Castlegate Avenue. If you live in this neighborhood in East Compton or in the Lynwood Gardens area, we've seen this suspect maintain his, or I should say, remain in this neighborhood. So if you live in this neighborhood, great idea to stay inside, because we just don't know how a pursuit like this is going to end. The chances of somebody getting hurt are so high. Despite the fact that we don't see a lot of traffic here, there could be, as you mentioned, Colleen, somebody walking their dog, somebody on their bicycle. If you live in this neighborhood, if you have us on television or you're streaming the pursuit, stay inside. Don't try and get a glimpse of it, because that's what we often see as well. You know, sometimes we see people come outside to get a glimpse of the action, driving by their house. It's just not a great idea. Despite the fact that there's not a lot of traffic here, there's still a very high potential for danger here in Lynwood Gardens as we make our way along Palmerstone Street, turning off at Butler Avenue. You can see continuing to make random turns left and right, both directions, just kind of making it up as he goes along here. Now here he's meeting up with somebody. There's somebody stopping. He's talking to somebody. Don't know if he knows that person, recognizes the vehicle, or if it's a stranger's vehicle, but he's now stopped at an intersection, making a U-turn and communicating with another driver in another car who also made an erratic move there. That was kind of unusual, the way that car he's just doing a circle in the middle of the intersection. This guy is along for the joyride here of his life, and hopefully it's the last of his fun here as he now continues on to Rosecrans Avenue. They've just given the permission to re-engage here, so I think in the next few seconds we're going to see some more law enforcement units enter the shot here. Now back into oncoming lanes of traffic, wrong side of the road, onto Harris Avenue off of Rosecrans. LA County Sheriff trying to make their way back behind him and continue the pursuit. They've just watched it go on for way too long, and at the way he's been driving, they might be able to keep up with him. But again, if he keeps going into oncoming lanes of traffic, that's when they have the potential of losing him or the motivation. Oh, another close call. That was a close one there. That pickup truck did not see him coming and managed to avoid another collision there, but man, that was another really, really close one as he makes his way up Harris Avenue. Oof. No, it really didn't. And the way he just stopped so readily, whether he was waving him down and that was a stranger, maybe he was, maybe he was communicating with a stranger, but it certainly appeared to be a vehicle that he recognized and stopped to talk to that driver. That driver then made an erratic turn down that other street. But now it looks like he's come to a stop here at Compton Boulevard and Butler Avenue. We'll see why. I can't see what's behind that tree, but under that tree is, I think, just traffic that he's waiting for. So there's traffic that he's waiting for on Compton Boulevard, and now he's making that left turn onto Compton Boulevard. So now back onto a main thoroughfare. LA County Sheriff's units now making their way back into the neighborhood. I think they're going to pick this pursuit up once again. You can see he's slowing down a little bit. That's a good sign. Whether he's yeah, it is. It's a very, very unusual behavior just watching this guy. There's just no rhyme or reason. I think I saw somebody's hand on the passenger side, and an object in the back seat on the driver's side. Couldn't tell what it is. I can't tell what it is. It might be a passenger. I'm not sure. At this point, if you're just joining us, we've counted at least 3 people, including the driver, inside this PT Cruiser convertible that has really taken the LA County Sheriff's Department for quite a joyride across the entire city of Compton. Remaining mostly in East Compton here, but we're now at a stop here, and this is the first time that he's really just kind of sat still like this for no real reason. Normally, when he sees traffic, he just goes right around it. Is it the case that he's maybe running out of gas? It's certainly a possibility. But for no apparent reason at all, he's now stopped in the middle of Compton Boulevard. If you look near the top of your screen, you're going to see some of those LA County Sheriff's units waiting from a distance to see what he decides to do here and see what his next move is. Now, he may be able to see them in his rearview mirror, and you saw that passenger with his arm out. It's very possible, even though they're quite a distance back, it's very possible that they may be giving him commands over their PA system and maybe ordering him to give this up. And that might be what we're watching here, but it just seems very random because this is the first time now in this entire pursuit where he is now taking his foot off the gas, taking a minute to breathe, and bring the vehicle to a complete stop in the middle of a major thoroughfare here for no apparent reason whatsoever. Well, he's got his at least his hazard. Yeah, both left and right. So those are the hazard lights that are now blinking. You can see, you continue to see an occasional hand out the window there. Now all of a sudden there's something covering that passenger's rear window in the back seat. I'm not sure what that is. Maybe we can push into that back seat and see. Is it a sheet of paper maybe? Or, okay. I can't. So it might. Okay, so that's just a blind spot. I think that's just a blind spot. Actually, I thought that might have been covering the rear window. But yeah, we occasionally see that hand out the window, or not really sticking out the window, but you can see it kind of coming up to the window. I can't tell whether the window is rolled up or down, but what I can tell you is that while he's sitting still here, this is giving the LA County Sheriff's Department an opportunity to really surround this block and set up for a spike strip in the event that he continues to move the vehicle. Here they come. Here they come. They're going to make a move for it here. It looks like he may have run out of gas, and now they're coming up from behind him. Officers getting out of their vehicles, sheriff's deputies with their guns drawn here. Any moment now, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 units right behind him, and it looks like it's time to give it up. It looks like we've got hands on both the driver's side and the passenger side of the vehicle, at least. In fact, if we go ahead, we'll go ahead and keep the shot semi-wide here just in case. But you can see hands now coming out of both sides. It almost looked like there's actually 4 people possibly in the vehicle. I see hands coming from the driver's window, the passenger window, and the driver's back seat. It looks like maybe that passenger that was in the right rear maybe has made his way over to the driver's side. So we know of at least 3 people altogether, including that driver. LA County Sheriff's deputies now have this vehicle stopped at Compton Boulevard and White Avenue here in East Compton. And it looks like finally, after running out of gas, is what we're hearing, this pursuit has now come to an end. Man, I got to tell you, this was filled with so many close calls and the potential for such disastrous ending. This is about the best possible termination we could have possibly hoped for. You can see the driver now giving up, coming out of the vehicle with his hands up and following orders of the LA County Sheriff's Department as he kind of wobbles back and forth there. The original report was that this was suspected to be a DUI driver, and that may very well turn out to be the case. We'll eventually find that out. But now the driver stepping out of the vehicle, he's going to be taken into custody here. They are going to be taking him right into custody there in handcuffs, and now they will approach the vehicle. Well, they'll actually order the other 2 passengers to come out of the vehicle before they approach the vehicle and eventually give the all clear here. But you can see arms still out of the passenger side of the car, and after a, 30-40 minute pursuit all over Compton, this looks like it's come to a peaceful end, remarkably, Colleen and David. Woman coming out of the back seat. You've got to give the LA County Sheriff's Department a lot of credit in this situation. You know, they used their best judgment to pull off when it was appropriate, re-engage when they thought that they had seen enough, and they were on top of it the entire time. You know, the helicopter followed every single twist and turn, and despite the fact that we didn't see units right behind them the whole time, they were in the vicinity monitoring all of those moves and ready for this moment when the vehicle finally came to a stop. They saw their opportunity and they took it, and fortunately, looks like everybody's going to go home safe here. Well, they won't be going home, but they will be spending the night in jail. All right, asking him to lift his shirt up, make sure he doesn't have a weapon and not carrying one in his waistband there. So that's what you're seeing here. He's now going to walk backwards in the direction of sheriff's deputies. And by my count, I think this will be the last passenger to come out of this vehicle. They will approach it very carefully, but I think that we were dealing with a total of 3 people, including the driver, at least to the best of our knowledge. We'll see eventually if there's anybody else inside that car. Yeah, a little bit tricky with those convertible windows, but yeah, you can see it looks like they're able to see through there and officially give the code 4. You saw him raise his left hand there, letting everybody know that this is now a cleared vehicle, and they will continue on here with their evening. And of course, those 3 suspects will be heading out to jail this evening. That was a wild one. You got it. Good job, guys. Nice. Thank you, Ron.